Hi there. My name is Chris, and for those who don't know me, I am an entrepreneur and automotive enthusiast slash journalist. I've been lucky to have worked in various industries over the years, spanning fashion through the automotive world, all the way through ed tech and blockchain. And that's given me a very diverse skill set and outlook. However, that's not why I'm here today. I'm here today to talk about our Catalyst proposal for on-chain VIN numbers and certificates of authenticity. You see, the problem that I see out there right now is that the automotive industry is plagued with deceptive practices, scandalous activities, and scams, and this leads to consumer mistrust. Everybody has a story of a scammy dealership. Nobody likes going to dealerships. Um, and there is just scrupulous activities left and right. And that's just accepted as common practice in the industry. And I think the root cause of that issue is a centralized and siloed vehicle reporting and titling process, leading to inaccurate data, which opens the door for hidden and undisclosed information. Hail damage is hidden, flood damage, all the way down to some guy that types up a Google sheet or spreadsheet of maintenance records that he did over the years of owning that car when he's about to meet a new owner. I myself have fallen a victim to this type of situation. One car I bought, the guy said it was an fender bender. And then later on, I found out after I got access to auto auctions that it was rolled. What a nice surprise. But yeah, so that's one problem. Another issue is VIN swapping. So VIN swapping is a common way that people illegally import cars. It's also a way where a car that doesn't even exist anymore, a total car could be disguised as something else, or even a lower trim model can be disguised as something bigger. Then there's title washing. Title washing is actually a pretty big issue that not a lot of people know goes on. Basically, through inconsistent vehicle titling across state lines, people are able to effectively clean a car title by moving it from one state to another state and then back over. I'll use the example of, let's say, Washington and Montana. Washington has rebuilt titles or salvage titles. Montana has reconstructed, let's say. So someone could take a salvage or rebuilt car in Washington, move it to Montana, and then that branded title will not register in Montana. So it'll default back to clean. And then they move it back to Washington and it's a clean title car again. And not a lot of people know about this practice, but it's actually quite common. An estimated 1 in 325 cars is cleaned in the United States. And then there's thefts. The fact of the matter is most people work at 9 to 5. Bank hours and the Department of Licensing is also open only from 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. And so this leaves buyers and sellers vulnerable to scams. I used to flip cars. There's plenty of times when I wanted to buy a car, but I couldn't get the money out of the bank. And at the same time, I've also been scammed in this method too, where this gentleman said that he could only meet Saturday, Sunday night because of work. He seemed all right, so I agreed. He gave me this cashier's check that was apparently fake. I deposited in my app, and then lo and behold, a couple days later, check bounces. He's gone with my vehicle, and that's that, right? um, but so there's all these problems in the automotive industry, but we have the chance to solve them now. And I think the solution is by putting vehicle identification numbers, vehicle histories on chain and creating certificates of authenticity on chain. In addition to pairing that with a user interface that is easy to use, because let's face it, Web 2 users, today's common user, they expect Amazon. They expect one click. They're used to a very easy user interface. And so that'll be crucial, especially with a industry such as the automotive world, where people are traditionally slow to adopt. And I think the benefits of this will be that we'll break down silos and improve the vehicle titling process, will provide consumers with an immutable record and robust vehicle history, and will improve trust and widespread adoption of not only blockchain, but also Cardano. Um, Now, a lot of people will probably ask, what's the difference between you and Carfax? And to me, the difference is actually quite stark. Carfax has data that's aggregated from various sources. You have no idea where it's from, who entered it, etc. They're also centralized and manipulatable. Sites such as Glassdoor, Indeed, they'll allow people to pay to remove information that's not favorable towards them. No way of knowing that Carfax doesn't do the same thing. In fact, at the bottom of their website, there is a button to contest entries on Carfax reports. There's also no certificates of authenticity. We'll be providing certificates of authenticity with NFTs. And then lastly, they're, of course, closed source with questionable sources. You don't know where their data is from, how they're getting their data, who's entering it. It's just a shroud of trust this document from Carfax and take it at face value. And so if you think about the consumer risks and consumer issues that I talked about earlier, Carfax really does nothing to address those at all. You know, the false disclosures can still be made. Person can still say, I did an oil change last month, and people just accept that because it's widely accepted that Carfax doesn't have all the data and all the records of what was done to a car. VIN, it does nothing to protect against VIN swapping. That Carfax report will just follow that new VIN to the next car. Title washing, it depends. It depends on where they're getting their data, who's getting their data, and what happens when a conflict happens. And then there's fraud and theft prevention, which it can't do anything about. But with blockchain technology and automating the escrow process, we would be able to solve that problem. And so from my perspective, having been around the industry a little bit, I think that it is a self-perpetuating and broken feedback loop. A broken system in the beginning opens the door for scamming. Human nature capitalizes on that opportunity. Most people just accept that as how it is and the way it is and the way that the industry will be. Others try to make inadequate solutions, Carfax, what have you, just through lack of technology being available. But it doesn't need to be like that anymore. And we're at a point in time where we're actually very lucky to have the opportunity to solve this issue and break this feedback loop that's been happening for the past 100+ years. And so I think we can do that with Catalyst and Fund 12 support. I think we have the right advisors and we have the right team to be able to pull this off, as well as the strategic partners in place to be able to do this. And so I want to take a step back for a minute, though, and talk about systematic change. And you look at the process that people talk about for systematic change, and they talk about, attacking the root cause, building a solution and building awareness of that, and then eventually transitioning and making that solution the predominant one. It's kind of the same flow with change management. You assess a situation, you develop a solution, deploy that with a small group, and then normalize it after you've proven it is successful. And so for that reason, we have strategically chosen these partners by design. Celine is a performance car manufacturer, usually with MSRPs above $100,000. Mecum is the world's largest collector car auction in the world. And Auto News is the oldest automotive newspaper in the industry. And so the way that we thought about this, or kind of the flow that we felt, is we chose Mecum and Celine as our partners on this project for a very specific reason. And that reason is that their consumers are ones that care about the vehicle history, records, integrity of that. And thus, we felt that their consumers would be quicker to adopt this type of solution, whereas your normal automotive consumer may not even know that this is a problem. It may not be top of mind. At the same time, Auto News has the ability to build the awareness of this problem and our solution through the course of this project, and as well as after, assist with helping us gain the next early majority to adopt this technology. Having been in the automotive industry for over 40 years, Auto News has a lot of relations with automotive executives and key players in the industry that have been around for many years. I mean, the automotive world is kind of known to be a boys' club, right? And so that'll help us get in the door with these people. So to summarize, basically, there's three phases, and if we execute these three phases correctly, I think that this project could be huge. Phase one is to show proof of concept with Mecum and Celine customers. And then after that, what we'll do is iterate on that and focus on gaining the early adopters. And then in phase three, with mounting pressure from B2C consumers, kind of like how Carfax early on had a mounting amount of users, everyone was starting to say, show me the Carfax. We'll basically move towards attempting to implement this with the government under the infrastructure bill or otherwise. And I think the market potential is huge for this. 278 million vehicles are registered in the US annually. And I think the opportunity is right because California and Texas are exploring blockchain solutions for titling. The NMVTIS program was just created by the Department of Justice to try to streamline this process as well. And the infrastructure bill is out there with many aspects around vehicle titling and licensing. And if you also use Carfax as an example, their annual revenue is about $400 million and they have millions of users. And so I think that the impact of this project could be huge if we orchestrate this correctly. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but if we make it there, we would not only help further blockchain's image in the public's eye, especially in the United States, but also propel Cardano to being a household name. And at the end, in phase three, we would drive a significant amount of revenue via transaction fees. And so that's essentially it. Thank you, everybody, for viewing this. And this is a project that I and the team is quite passionate about, and I think we can make a lasting impact, not only in the Cardano ecosystem, but also the automotive world. Again, I think we have the right players, the right team members, and the right partners to make this happen. And so thank you for considering our proposal.